Hey there people of the internet, my name is Sivana, and welcome to my studio. This video has a little funny story behind it. Well, I think it's funny. So last week I woke up and just had an image in my head of this red man with a really long kind of reptilian neck, and half of his face was covered in dark shadows, looking very ominous. And I just had to get up and draw it because I thought it was perfect for a boss character in my nightmare story. So I drew this and recorded it all and everything, and I really liked it and thought it was done. But then immediately, the next day, I drew him again and was like, oops, this is better. So let's get into the drawing. This is the father of many faces, and my original concept for him is that he would wear a bunch of different masks and show up in various places in my story, but his main area would be a place called Water City. We'll get to that later. So instead of him having normal masks of like animal skulls and whatnot, I thought it would be cool if he actually took people's faces. So he just has a bunch of horrified severed faces that he turned into masks. I kept some of the same design as the first drawing, but wanted it to look more dynamic, like he's trying to decide which face he wants to wear today, instead of just standing there and kind of posing. And honestly, doing these horrified faces that are just stuck in eternal agony was a lot of fun. I haven't really done scary art like this before, and I love it. And plus, I gotta keep practicing for my comic. Since this story was originally going to be a game, there are levels and bosses. The levels are kind of like Dark Souls levels, where it's an area that you can go back to and whatever, not levels like leveling up, but zones. I still wanted to keep with the boss theme in the comic that my main character or characters will have to fight and defeat in order to progress. So the Father of Faces will definitely be a boss, and he will only appear in Water City. And Victor had a really cool idea of him gaining different powers or abilities depending on what mask he's wearing, so that'll be something really fun to incorporate into the comic. Now here's where we get some lore on Water City. As you know from past videos, I don't really do dynamic backgrounds. Most of the time they're just colors or circles, and this time I wanted to try my hand at something more complex. So the concept of Water City actually comes from a couple nightmares I've had. One I don't remember too well, other than these disgusting fleshball baby hand creatures walking through an abandoned city. I knew they were dangerous and I had to stay away from them and hid wherever I could. The other nightmare I remember much more clearly. I was in some video game store with my grandma, and it all seemed nice and fine at first because it was actually daylight for a change. We were just talking and I was telling her about some game or something, and then she went on to talk to someone else and I went outside for some reason. Outside, however, it was just like this big giant parking lot with hardly anything else in sight. And then I saw this black cat that started talking to me.
I have to go to the bathroom.
I don't remember anything he said, but I began to follow him. The scenery then changed to a decrepit city completely flooded by dark, murky water. The cat and I began walking along rooftops and wooden construction beams. It was hard to keep balance, and I was terrified of falling in. I hate dark water, and I couldn't see anything in it, but I just knew that whatever may be in it wasn't good. I walked and talked with the cat for a long time. At some point the cat got trapped in a box and fell into the water. I knew I had to go get it, but it was awful. The box floated, so that was convenient, but having to walk into the dark water was horrible. I thought at any moment something was going to grab me and pull me under. I did my best to swim out to the cat and eventually got to it, but I don't know if you've ever tried to swim while carrying a box. I never have, but it was very difficult and very scary. I was in the water way longer than I was comfortable with, and it just kept heightening my fear. The cat also didn't say anything anymore, it just meowed because he was scared too. I don't know how I managed it, but I got the cat back onto a wooden beam and lifted it up and thought it would be safe before I got myself out too. I was fine, but soaked and terrified. The cat stayed in the box because I didn't know how to open the weird cage, and I just carried it, which also proved to be difficult as I walked across these like really thin beams and stuff. I almost didn't want to move at all because every direction just seemed perilous, and I didn't want to take any risk of falling back into the water. I stood still for a long time, contemplating, and began seeing shadows below the waves. Suddenly the cat was gone and the box was empty. I was really confused and not sure what happened after that. A lot of the times in my dreams, I'm just randomly whisked away to another dimension where something entirely different is happening. So yeah, that's about it. Water City sucks. Dark water sucks. So it's the perfect place for this creepy boss monster. I wanted to do the same kind of shading I did in the first drawing, where I took the lasso tool to draw out the specific area I wanted, and then used the light airbrush for that faded, blended effect I like. I also make him redder because the base color was just really dull and he needs to pop from the dark background. So I did that little spiral on his shoulder just for fun, and then I really liked it, but couldn't figure out how to get it to work anywhere else, so he just has a random swirl on his shoulder. Even with my lasso and airbrush technique, I still blend the edges so everything looks a little more natural. It's kind of hard to see what I'm doing with the hair because it's so dark, but I wanted it to look wet and kind of scraggly, and added some dark red to the ends like he got some blood in his hair. His tentacle skirt thing was a lot of fun and pretty easy, as I just went very quickly. When doing the highlights though, I decided not to blend the edges just because it looked really cool and I didn't want to mess it up. I put an overlay layer on the line work to give the blood a red outlining so it looked more like liquid, and changed the lines of the faces to kind of match their skin tones, just so they stood out against the father a bit more. These two bottom faces straight up look like zombies. And now on to the rest of the background. I added some clouds because Water City is just this really dreary and muggy place, and I made this tunnel really dark but take the shadows away every now and then so I can actually see what I'm doing. So for some reason I wasn't able to use the magic wand tool to select just the inside of the lines and had to manually fill in these lampposts, which was kind of annoying. I found out later that it was because the contagious option on the magic wand tool somehow got turned off. I don't know how or what it really means, but it's fixed now, so yay. I also used the cloud brushes for the shading and highlights on all the foliage, and I think it turned out really great. Then I just mess with some color values and do some last minute shenanigans before I add rain, and then I'm all done. Here is the father of many faces, the boss of Water City. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into my nightmare world. I had a lot of fun with this one and definitely want to keep up with the spooky theme, so maybe next time I'll do the Mother of Eyes. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so you'll be notified about all my new videos. As always, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.